Oh, what's up, GameLeapers? The Jizz back at it, and in today's video, you are going to discover the 10 best builds of the new 11.12 patch and the champions you should abuse these on for free LP in the coming weeks. Now, no items are getting buffed or nerfed next patch, but there have been some new red hot discoveries, and the Jizz is here to fill you in on exactly what these bad boys are. Because sometimes when we rage at the game, it's not even about a broken champion, it's about an item. So before we get into it, make sure you hit that sub button if you haven't already, and also remember to head on over to the GameLeap website to master a champion, to master a role, to know what it is to be a challenger player. It's all on our site, so check it out. Links in the description and comment section. Alright, so let's get into it. The first build we're going to talk about, starting off the countdown coming in at number 10, is the Sorcerer's Shoes and Luden's Tempest combination. And yes, we all know this is a good combination because of the magic pen, and this mythic power spike is one of the strongest going around. But what makes it really strong next patch is the fact that Ziggs, in particular, this champion, is getting buffed. Now, of course, you can use this build on other mages like Victor. You might even use it on Annie in some situations if you don't want Rocket Belt. But this combination, yes, for Ziggs, because your ultimate is now traveling at a quicker speed in medium to long distance, this means that when that bomb is traveling with the magic penetration from Sorks and Ludens, it's going to do way more damage, and the power behind this, of course, is the magic penetration you're getting from these two items. So Sorcerer's Shoes and Luden's Tempest is starting off this countdown at number 10. Now, beating Sorcerer's Shoes and Ludens to the number 9 spot is the Everfrost and Zhonya's combination, so another mage combination here. And we all know the champions who are abusing this at the moment. This might be Silas, this might be Ari. You can throw in Lucidity Boots as well as a third item. And what this build is about, guys, is two things: cooldown and then utility as well. Because Silas and Ari, yes, okay, you might be able to one-shot squishies if you're really far ahead, but most of the time on these champions, it's about baiting out cooldowns from the enemy team on yourself, and also using your cooldowns to set up plays for your teammates. So whether you're playing Silas and you're trying to get in there with that Everfrost root, and then using your chain to lock down a target, whether you're playing Ari and you're throwing out multiple charms in team fights and peeling your carries as well, it's just a really effective setup and very hard to actually lose on. When you have an hourglass as well, it gives you the survivability you kind of need or sometimes need in team fights. So you're pretty much always going to be effective and always be a nuisance, always have an impact in any game you're in. So Everfrost Zhonya's coming in at number 9. Now this next build is another build that we're all familiar with, right? And I'm sure most of you hate it because you've seen it so much and it's on champions lots of people don't like. So if we think of Zed, if we think of Kiana, if we think of Talon, you know, these AD assassins that by default don't have that much counterplay, well, with Prowler's Claw and then Serpent's Fang, the counterplay is pretty much nil. Now Prowler's Claw, yes, it gives you the most lethality in the game, and the mythic passive gives you lethality for each major item you have, right? So you're scaling with lethality, and this makes your item spikes after the claw even more deadly. But Prowler's Claw is so effective on these assassins because it gives you a free dash. Now the dash is short range, that's right, but on these champions, guys, who have so much mobility anyway, it's not really that difficult to get in range of an enemy carry and just blow them up. If we also think about the game at the moment as well, with Seeker's Arm Guard nerf, you know, more champions in the mid lane in particular for Zed, Kiana, Talon, they're just more killable, right? So with Prowler's Claw and then Serpent's Fang as well, which is countering a lot of the spellcasting support you're seeing at the moment, so Lulu, Karma, Sona, Soraka, it's doing really well against these as well because of Shurelya's. This build as a result has become even more effective, and this is why it's coming in at number 8 on this countdown. Now number 7, this build is still popular for one top laner in particular, and this is Shen, and this is the Redemption build, which has been popularized by Xpedu. And if you don't already know, this build contains Turbo Chem Tank, Redemption, that's right, Redemption, and Mikhail's Crucible. Now Redemption and Mikhail's, this is the real power of this build, and the reason for this is the shield power you're getting. Now with Shen, you've got your passive, so this will help in the lane and especially in the late game 1v1s when you're split pushing, but your ultimate, which got buffed recently at later ranks, so later in a game again when you're ulting onto someone, that shield you give your teammate when you're ulting onto them is so big, there's no way they die in that team fight. Even if they get caught out, you're going to save them, you're going to get there in time to taunt the enemy carries, and just this cooldown alone, your Stand United can win the fight single-handedly. So Redemption in at number 7. Now beating it to the number 6 spot is the Nash's Tooth Rush. And this build, because no items are changing next patch, is back on another countdown. And Nash's Tooth, well, this gives you a massive chunk of AP, right? 100, that's a lot. It also gives you attack speed, so if you rely on attack speed, let's say Kayle does, Teemo does, even Katarina does, because there is attack speed in her kit now, her ultimate. You know, it's a good all-around item. It gives you those important stats, but it also gives you on-hit. And for Katarina, on-hit is in your daggers, your Shumpo, your ultimate. For Kayle, in your E, in your passive. For Teemo, in your E as well. So what Nash's is doing is amplifying your main sources of of damage, and as a result, your Nash's power spike is almost like a mythic power spike in a way, because you're getting so much AP and then so much on hit at the same time. Now, if you follow this with a Rift Maker, which is what most champions do after buying Nash's, or a Hextech Rocket Belt, if you're a Diana, for example, or even Katarina, it doesn't really matter because the Nash's spike is so strong, so this comes in at number 6. Now, the top 5 builds, guys, if you're enjoying the Jizz telling you the top 10 builds of each patch, then let the Jizz know by leaving a like down below. And coming in at number 5, the starting us off, we have a setup that has made Riven and Fiora in particular so strong. This is Gore Drinker and Black Cleaver. Now, both of these items got buffed recently, right? So Gore Drinker is going to heal you more the lower HP you are, and then Black Cleaver has been given the 30% armor reduction that it used to have in previous seasons, which means that when you're playing Riven and Fiora, who have a lot of DPS and can put out damage very quickly, you are going to reduce that target's armor so quickly and one-shot them as a result. So if you're against a Bruiser who's got Bramble Vest or Randuin's or Frozen Heart, or a tank who's got the same items, it doesn't really matter because Cleaver now is so much better and more effective at reducing that target's armor and actually making them squishy enough for you to kill them. Now, Gore Drinker, of course, gives you that power, not just in the lane, but also in teamfights, that sustain. So when you do have to 5v5 at Baron and Elder Dragons and all them, you are going to be very hard to kill, and it also gives you a nice chunk of damage. It's also quite useful for your combos as well. So Gore Drinker and Black Cleaver coming in at number 5 for Riven and Fiora. Now, there's 4 builds better than this, and the first of these is the Shurelya's Battle Song Rush, and I mentioned this earlier when talking about Prowler's Score and the Serpent's Fang, because Shurelya's is now better for spellcasting supports like Lulu, Karma, Janna. You know, it's giving them and their carries movement speed. Well, this means that strong AD carries like Jinx, you might even say Kog'Maw, Draven as well next patch is going to be very good indeed. Movement speed on AD carries is so important. Throw Vayne in there as well. This is why the combination of one of these Enchantress supports like Lulu, Karma, couple that with Shurelya's, you give your carries so much more kite ability if you like. So not only are they going to dodge the damage and the skill shots the enemy team are throwing at them, but they're also going to be able to keep doing damage, and that's the key. You're keeping them alive for longer and keeping your chances of winning alive for longer as well. Now, as we get into the top 3 builds, guys, of 11-12, it is that time again for the Jizz's last friendly reminder, if you have not already, to check out the GameLeap website. Challenger tier content, right? Like thousands of people like you who are hard stuck, maybe you're not hard stuck, that was a bit toxic, but yes, who want to improve, who want to climb, who want to get good at this game, who want to learn from the best minds, the best players and coaches going around. We have it on our website, so get signed up, links down below. Okay, now this is where the fun starts, guys, these top 3 builds, and coming in at number 3 is an actual item rush that's been popular recently on one champion specifically, and this is Xin Zhao, so the Immortal Shield Bow rush on Xin. Now, we all know how good Shield Bow is on Yas, Yone, Draven as well next patch, who's getting buff, remember, so Shield Bow Draven, watch out for that. But Xin Zhao, yeah, Shield Bow rushing Xin Zhao. This has actually taken off. Now, of course, you can still go Eclipse, which is giving you lethality, but with Shield Bow, you're getting attack speed and so much more 1v1 potential that it pretty much makes it impossible to trade with you. Even with Halo Blades getting nerfed last patch, this hasn't seen Xin Zhao drop really at all in the win rate department, so if you want a jungler who can solo kill anyone on the map, give it a test next patch, guys. Xin Zhao with Shield Bow. Now, beating that combination to the runner-up spot to the best build in 11-12 is the Sorcerer Shoes and Hextech Rocket Belt combination. I cannot leave this off this list, because for Annie, for Rumble, for Fiddlesticks, the reason these champions are so good is because of Sorcerer Shoes and Rocket Belt. And Rocket Belt, as we know recently, got more magic penetration, so just flat out magic pen now you're getting when you build this. This means that when you get to this mythic power spike, you have enough magic penetration and just straight out damage to one-shot anything that gets in your way. On these champions as well, like Annie, Rumble, Fiddlesticks, you know, they don't really have the most mobility. I mean, Rumble, of course, can speed himself up with his W, but apart from that, they're quite immobile. So the dash in Rocket Belt comes in really handy as well, as does the movement speed. So when you Rocket Belt in, you're getting that movement speed to get an ultimate off, to keep doing damage. It's just such a scary combination to play against, and there's very little counterplay as well. This is why Sorcerer Shoes and the Rocket Belt come in at number 2. So the number 1, well, what on earth can be the number 1 build if Sorcerer Shoes and Rocket Belt is number 2? Now, the number 1 build, guys, and it was the number 1 build last patch as well, is going to be the Divine Sunderer Rush. And yes, you can rush this on Wukong, you can rush this on Nath. We all know how good this is. You can rush it on Ezreal as well. Well, how about another champion? What about Viego? Because this has actually been built sometimes by Viego players, with Bork as well in there. So when you are against tanky compositions, guys, who are going to have a lot of HP, Divine Sunderer is actually so much better for these champions, and I want you to try it on Viego as well and let me know what you think in the comments. So not only with the new Sunderer, you're doing more damage, you're also healing for more as well when you deal that damage with your Spell Blade. And next patch, nothing is changing. No nerfs, no buffs, anything. So Divine Thunder is still going to be the best item rush on the Rift. So try to abuse it, guys, as much as you can before Riot nerf it, because Markieta and the Balance team will. Like, trust me, one of them is going to run into a Divine Thunder and Nasus in their gold game, and they're going to nerf it as a result. So yes, make use of it before those nerfs come in. And as always, hopefully you enjoyed the video and learned something from it. Make sure you hit that sub button and the notification bell before leaving. This has been the Jizz, and until tomorrow's video, bye.